Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Filmographers podcast, the show where we study a director's entire career, one movie at a time. I'm Michael Moreci, and with me, as always, is Keir Graff. Keir, we have an interesting show ahead of us.
We do. No phoning it in today. Not that we ever phone it in, because not only is the film we're covering in today's episode an adaptation of a very successful Agatha Christie play, it also marks a turning point in Billy Wilder's career.
Witness for the Prosecution is, I would argue, a crucial film in Wilder's filmography, taking him out of what Wilder historian Joseph McBride has called his run for cover era and into the next act of his career, an act some consider his most artistically satisfying. But, Keir, we're getting ahead of ourselves. For now, please provide us with your one-sentence summary of Witness for the Prosecution.
When a legendary barrister defends a likable man accused of murdering a lonely widow for her money, and the man's wife coldly testifies against him, the barrister finds his faith in human nature and England's criminal justice system turned upside down.
When you first met the prisoner in Hamburg, you lied to him about your marital status?
I wanted to get out of Germany, so...
You lied, did you not? Just yes or no, please.
Yes.
Thank you. And subsequently, in arranging the marriage, you lied to the authorities?
I did not tell the truth to the authorities.
You lied to them?
Yes.
And in the ceremony of marriage itself, when you swore to love and to honor and to cherish your husband, that too was a lie?
Yes.
And when the police questioned you about this wretched man who believed himself married and loved, you told them?
I told them what Leonard wanted me to say.
You told them that he was at home with you at 25 minutes past 9, and now you say that that was a lie.
Yes, a lie.
And when you said that he had accidentally cut his wrist, again you lied.
Yes.
And now today you've told us a new story entirely. The question is, Frau Helm, were you lying then? Are you lying now? Or are you not, in fact, a chronic and habitual liar?
Filmographers family, and here we can call everyone family, right?
We're all one big family, Mike.
One big film family, I would say. And since we are family, we're going to guilt you into doing us a favor, as all good families do. We're not going to ask you to help us move. We're just going to ask you to help us by leaving a rating or review wherever you're listening to us. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podcast Addict, wherever. Please find where you can leave us a rating and maybe even a review, and do it now. Just fill in those empty 5 stars and you're done. That's all it takes.
It really means a lot to us. This is how we get new listeners, and acquiring new listeners, lots of new listeners, is how this show will remain sustainable.
And if you want to leave us a review in person, you're going to have your chance, because once again, the Filmographers are hitting the road.
This July, we're traveling to Davenport, Iowa to host a screening of Ace in the Hole at the Last Picture House.
For those who aren't familiar with the Last Picture House, it is a boutique independent cinema founded by Scott Beck and Brian Woods, the creative minds behind movies like A Quiet Place, Heretic, and 65. These guys love movies, they love the big screen, and they've put their passion into a wonderful cinema in their own hometown.
I love it, and I cannot wait to see this theater and experience Ace in the Hole on the big screen. Filmographers family, if you're in the Iowa area, join us on July 8th. It's going to be a great evening at the movies.
Speaking of movies, Keir, let's dig into the making of Witness for the Prosecution. As you already pointed out, Wilder's movie was based on an Agatha Christie play, which was adapted from her 1925 story, The Traitor's Hands. The play was first performed in London in 1953, and then it came to Broadway in 1954, where it ran for 645 performances. That's a lot, but not as many as another Christie play, The Mousetrap, which has run for over 30,000 performances and counting. I think I'm the only person in the world who hasn't seen this play.
Emphasis on "and counting" as the reason you haven't seen it, Mike, because contractually, a feature film adaptation cannot be made until the play closes.
I like how you're tacitly saying that I don't see plays unless they turn into movies.
Have you seen a play recently?
I have. Last month I saw Dog Day Afternoon.
Oh, interesting. And Dog Day Afternoon is an adaptation of a...
Son of a bitch.
And for the record, I saw The Mousetrap in the West End because I support the legitimate theatre.
You do when you talk like that, Keir. Anyway, Witness for the Prosecution was a hit play written by a hit-making machine, a fact that didn't go unnoticed by producers Edward Small and Arthur Hornblow Jr., who purchased the rights for a whopping $450,000.
That was like, what, $1 billion in then money? I mean, it was a lot.
It's $1 billion.
Hornblow and Wilder were well acquainted. Hornblow had produced Midnight, the movie Wilder wrote for director Mitchell Leisen, and he produced the first movie Wilder directed in the United States, The Major and the Minor.
And still, development on Witness for the Prosecution didn't start with Wilder. It started with Marlene Dietrich. Hornblow wanted her to play the part of Christina Vole, and she told him that she'd only star if Wilder was the director. At least that's one account of how Dietrich got involved. We'll share another later. Regardless, it's important to note, as we detailed in our episode on A Foreign Affair, Wilder's and Dietrich's previous collaboration, Wilder and Dietrich weren't just collaborators, they were also good friends.
But despite Dietrich's alleged insistence, Wilder didn't agree to the project right away. According to Ed Sykoff in his book On Sunset Boulevard, Wilder was mulling over other projects, including an Audrey Hepburn and William Holden romantic comedy, My Sister and I, apparently because he was eager to outdo the discomfort he had caused with The Major and the Minor. He was also kicking around the idea of remaking a German film, Fanfaren das Liebe, which translates to Fanfares for Love, and even acquired the rights to it. Neither film, of course, got made.
And if that wasn't enough, there was another iron in Wilder's fire. A musical adaptation of a Sherlock Holmes story. It's unclear which story Wilder planned to adapt. He never seemed clear on that detail himself, but it would have starred Rex Harrison, and that would have been some match. Luella Parsons, the legendary Hollywood gossip reporter, put it best. This should be quite the combination of two temperamental people working together. And she's not wrong. Add Harrison's drinking to the mix, and you have one volatile cocktail. That movie, thankfully, never got made, but Wilder wasn't about to give up on Sherlock Holmes, his favorite fictional character, so easily. But we'll get to that fascinating movie and story later this season.
Eventually, Wilder agreed to direct Witness for the Prosecution. Maybe because it was the project that was most ready to go, maybe because it was the safest bet, or maybe because of the deal he negotiated with Hornblow and Small. Wilder got paid $100,000 to write and adapt, which was lower than his normal rate. But on top of that, he would have 5% of the gross, a back-end deal that never would have happened in the old Hollywood studio system. But it was a new day in Tinseltown, and shrewd creatives, Wilder amongst the shrewdest, could strike deals that would have once been unthinkable.
Now it's cut and paste time once again, Keir. But for the 7th movie in a row, Wilder needed a new co-writer. And no, he did not work with IAL Diamond on this one, despite their collaboration on Wilder's previous film, Love in the Afternoon. The reason is simple. Because the two movies' productions were more or less overlapping each other, Wilder had already hired a writer, so Diamond wasn't needed. Enter Harry Kurnitz, whose writing roots, like Wilder, were in journalism. He was also a mystery writer under the name Marco Page, and when he sold a novel, Fast Company, to MGM in 1937, he made the move to Hollywood. He wrote a number of films before Witness for the Prosecution, none of them very memorable, but Wilder liked his background as a mystery writer, and according to Sykoff, Kurnitz was involved with the project anyway per an agreement with Hornblow, so off they went.
Listeners, you're not going to believe this, but Kurnitz's time with Wilder was not happy. Years later, Kurnitz wrote an article about his experience collaborating with Wilder for Holiday magazine titled Billy the Wild, and he had this to say. Billy's associates have a nervous look and tend to break into tears if a door slams somewhere in the building. He is a fiend for work and works all the time. Billy's idea of a restful vacation is to work for nothing on someone else's script for a few weeks, but working for free doesn't make him easier to please. Billy the philanthropist is even more demanding than Billy the pro. And then he had this famous quote, Billy Wilder at work is actually two people, Mr. Hyde and Mr. Hyde, which honestly sounds like a joke Wilder would have made about someone else.
That's true. That's true. It's a very Wilder joke. Nonetheless, Kurnitz and Wilder got the job done. Their adaptation of Christie's work was faithful to the plot, but unfaithful to character, of which, according to Wilder, there was none. Wilder said that Christie plotted like an angel, but there are no human beings in her work, so he set to fill out the story with actual characters. He and Kurnitz added Sir Wilfrid's heart problem and his addiction to cigars, as well as creating the nurse character. She wasn't part of the play at all. Otherwise, they left Christie's plot intact because why would you mess with it? Though, to be frank, lesser writers might actually try. We've seen many adaptations fail for this very reason, so kudos to Wilder and Kurnitz for knowing when to leave well enough alone.
While the movie was being written, Hornblow was out casting the picture. Now, there are conflicting reports as to when Dietrich got involved. According to McBride, she was there from the start and helped woo Wilder into making the movie. Not so fast, says Sykov. According to him, Hornblow was interested in other actresses for the part of Christina Vole. Ava Gardner wanted the role because, like so many other actors, she wanted to work with Wilder. Wilder agreed to bring her on as long as she could be paired with Jack Lemmon, but Lemmon was either unavailable or uninterested. Hornblow went to Rita Hayworth, but Wilder was a hard no on her for reasons unknown. So, with the production racing toward the first day of shooting, Hornblow agreed to bring on Dietrich, who was Wilder's first choice, and maybe the reason he said no to Hayworth. She would play Christina Vole, and her husband would be played by Gene Kelly.
Strange casting. Yeah, Gene Kelly only entered the picture because the actor Hornblow really wanted kept refusing the role. Tyrone Power. Why? Hornblow was so set in Power? I'll be frank. It's an utter mystery, at least to me. Power's career was waning at this point. He was too old for the role and not nearly charming enough. Even Wilder was against casting him. He wanted Kirk Douglas, but then eventually relented because either Hornblow or him, I'm not sure, said he was too hard-boiled. Fair. Eventually, Hornblow managed to woo Power through the magic of money. He overpaid Power wildly, dishing out $300,000, while Dietrich made a paltry sum of $100,000 in comparison, and Charles Laughton, the person who carries this movie, only made $75,000. It's a puzzling arrangement.
Truly puzzling. Yeah, it's all backwards. Witness for the prosecution ended up being Power's final role. He died of a heart attack on the set of his next film in 1958. This is wild because in just our last episode, we were talking about how Gary Cooper died a few years after shooting Love in the Afternoon, starting to wonder if Wilder was as hard on actors as he was on writers. At any rate, Power had been turning back the clock to his swashbuckling days and was dueling with George Sanders on the set of Solomon and Sheba, a biblical epic directed by King Vidor, when he died of a heart attack. He was a chain smoker. Some say he smoked 3 to 4 packs a day, but he was only 44 years old. But during his time on Witness, he was well liked. He, Laughton, and Wilder all went on vacation together, and Dietrich had a crush on him, which, sadly for history, went unreciprocated.
But also, what the hell? What is everybody seeing in this guy?
Mystery. It's like a Seinfeld episode somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. The movie, though, thankfully belongs to Charles Laughton and his magnificent portrayal of Sir Wilfrid Roberts. Wilder called Laughton the greatest actor who ever lived. The compliment makes sense, seeing that Laughton often played overbearing but lovable tyrants, much like the role Wilder played in real life. Just ask his writers. Joking aside, Wilder truly admired Laughton. He was everything you could dream of, times 10, he told Cameron Crowe. In fact, Wilder offered Laughton a role in Irma la Douce, but Laughton was dying of cancer. Wilder tried to convince Laughton he'd be fine. He brought him pages of the script, sat by Laughton's side, and even delayed shooting the movie just to bolster Laughton's spirits. Crowe, in his own words, called Laughton the quintessential Wilder actor. Powerful, professional, creative without being obtrusive, always serving the character with a light comic touch. According to Moreci Olitov in his book Billy Wilder in Hollywood, Laughton would show up to filming Witness for the Prosecution on his days off. He would read his lines off camera, giving the other actors and even the extras something to react to. He just wanted to act. Zolotov wrote. In Witness for the Prosecution, Lawton was joined by Elsa Lanchester, who played his nurse and was Lawton's wife in real life. According to McBride, the two bickered and argued off-screen just as much as they did on. Lanchester was a highly respected actor of stage and screen, known mostly for her comedic work and her role as the bride in Bride of Frankenstein, which brings us to a detail I've been dying to discuss, Keir.
Knowing you, I'm pretty sure where you're going with this, but I won't spoil your fun. Go on.
You know. Okay. So this movie has, Keir, a lot of actors from the Universal Monsters universe. It's like a reunion, and you know how much I love the Universal Monster movies, so this made me especially joyful.
Guillermo del Toro has nothing on you, except for few Oscars.
Except for that. All right, let me do a quick, indulge me. Let me do a quick rundown on the cast. So you have Elsa Lanchester, veteran of Bride and Frankenstein. Check. There's the great Una O'Connor, who was also in Bride of Frankenstein and The Invisible Man. She was also, as a bonus, in Ernst Lubitsch's final film, Clooney Brown. She was the only actor in Witness for the Prosecution to have also played a part in the stage play. And the film version was her final role. Another,
They're dropping like flies. And then there were none.
Someone should write a book about that. Charles Lawton appeared in The Old Dark House and The Island of Lost Souls. Ian Wolfe appeared in The Invisible Man's Revenge, and Henry Daniell appeared in The Body Snatcher, which wasn't a Universal movie. It was an RKO picture produced by Val Lewton, but it was a movie meant to compete with Universal Horror at the time, and it even starred Boris Karloff. So I'm going to say close enough. There you have it. Take that, Del Toro.
You have an Oscar-worthy eye, Mike. I look forward to being in the audience when you take home the Lifetime Award for Finding Universal Horror Alumni in Other Films. I think they're going to name it after you. It'll be the Michael Moreci Award for Finding Universal Horror Alumni in Other Films.
It's about damn time. I've been doing this for free for so long. We're so glad you're joining us for Season 2 of the Filmographers podcast, our deep dive on the legendary writer-director, Billy Wilder.
We're grateful that more and more of you are choosing to support us on Patreon, and every month, of course, we show our appreciation by releasing ad-free versions of our main episodes on that platform, plus monthly episodes that are only available to our paid supporters. This month, our special episode is really going to be a fun one. We're not going to talk about a dusty old film from the vaults. We're not even going to talk about a bad modern-day remake of one of Wilder's films.
We're going to talk about Jerry Maguire. Why Jerry Maguire, you ask? Well, Cameron Crowe is not only one of Wilder's spiritual heirs, he's one of his biggest fans. Crowe reveres Wilder so much he even did a whole book of interviews with him. It's called, and I know this will come as a surprise, Conversations with Wilder. It's long out of print, but it's fascinating, packed with photos, and whether you love Wilder, Crowe, or just the art of filmmaking, you're going to want to track down a copy.
Join us on May 22nd as we talk about Jerry Maguire, Billy Wilder, and Cameron Crowe. These exclusive episodes are available to paid supporters at any level. Show us the money, and we'll show you the money. And if you've been thinking about upgrading your membership, now is the time. Just visit patreon.com/The Filmographers Podcast to show your support. We thank you for your support.
And a big and permanent thank you to $10 a month member Mike Post. Want to hear your name in every episode? Be like Mike.
Production on Witness for the Prosecution went smoothly. The script was solid, if not complete, but no one was staying up all night to write during filming, as had sometimes happened in the past. No writers suffered nervous breakdowns, despite what Kern had said. The cast got along well, no punches were thrown. Wilder even enjoyed working with Hornblow. Quote, "He took the dark load off my shoulders," Wilder said of his producer. "I didn't have to go to the front office and say, hey, you can't cut this budget here because I need that set as it is. Hornblow did it. Hell, Wilder didn't even have to battle the production code on this one. The set was as peaceful and tranquil as the Walton's home at bedtime. I need a more updated reference."
You know what? I'm going to say our audience knows. I think they get it.
Audience, Do you know that reference? I think you do.
I trust him. Now, this all brings me to a question that I have for you, Keir. At the top of the show, we mentioned that Witness for the Prosecution is a movie that marks another turning point in Wilder's career. And I'm wondering, did the piece, in some fashion, break Wilder? For context, remember, we're in Wilder's second period. The first is his period with Charles Brackett, daring films that straddled the line between artistic ambition and commercial viability. Then he and Brackett broke up, and we entered Wilder's second period, which McBride called, like I said, his run for cover period. After the failure of Ace in the Hole, Wilder made a string of commercially safe films, most of them stage adaptations, successful, but lacking the dark edge of his Brackett work. But something changes after Witness, and I'd say dates back to Love in the Afternoon too, because his next film is Some Like It Hot. We'll surely discuss this point in that episode, but for now, I want to ask again, was it getting too, between Love in the Afternoon and this picture, Witness for Prosecution, was it getting too easy for Wilder? Do you think he was, dare I say, getting bored?
It's an interesting question for sure. I mean, he definitely struggled with The Spirit of St. Louis. There was struggle there. For a variety of reasons. It was his most technically challenging movie. Jimmy Stewart had a burr under his saddle, and the post-production dragged on so long, he kind of wandered off. Wilder kind of wandered off and let someone else finish it. So that was hard, but yes, he seemed bored with it, probably because it's in no way a Billy Wilder movie. Love in the Afternoon, which we discussed in our last episode, was very much a Wilder movie and to some degree a Lubitsch movie, but it also had, as you say, a very tranquil production. Wilder enjoyed being in Europe again, and the shoot was a love fest. There was no one to fight with. So, yes, maybe he was getting bored now that the same thing was happening again. Although I don't know how he would have had time to get bored, given that this was his third film to come out in the same calendar year.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a really important point. He's working like crazy at this time in his career. I mean, he always was a movie a year or so clip, but this is pretty extreme. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I wonder, I think he said he needed friction, that's how he operated. That's how he worked with his writers, the pacing, the arguing, the bickering, all of it, the belittling, the ridicule that he said was just in good fun. He argued with the production code. He argued with studios. He argued with the industry itself, with Sunset Boulevard. I don't know, maybe it's not a conscious decision on his part, but I will say there's no friction in his last two movies. And while this is pure speculation, I do think that this is a movie, these two movies, maybe a combination of Diamond as well, which again, we'll get more. He wrote a movie with him on Love in the Afternoon. It didn't start their true collaboration because they take this time off, but Diamond may be a factor as well that wakes him up from his slumber, I would say.
Yeah, and on Love in the Afternoon, they started out working apart for a matter of months. Diamond was writing without collaborating with Wilder on a daily basis. And so I don't think that movie is really the true start of their collaboration. Yes, technically it is. Of course, they're working together, but it had to have taken a little while for Wilder to recognize, like, oh, I want to bring this guy back. I want to keep working with him. And then a few films in, they're suddenly like, they're firing like crazy. They're really clicking. And it wouldn't take long.
Yeah. And what's interesting too, we mentioned his clip that he was working at 3 movies in 1 year. There's a 2-year gap between Witness for the Prosecution and Some Like It Hot. So, and we will talk about this stuff in our next episode. So tune in. But some stuff is happening creatively and in Billy's life and with his relationship with Diamond.
When you prepare Witness for the Prosecution, you must know that Lawton is going to play the lawyer. And you write in a different way, knowing that it's going to be Lawton and that Marlene Dietrich is going to be the wife of the Taipao. We knew that. When we did Some Like It Hot, we started with Lemon and Curtis, and we were hoping for Marilyn Monroe. We were not sure, but thank God we did get her.
Now, I can't do Billy's accent, but anyway, all I know is that this crazy man sat down and he says, now look, he says, I've got this script here, and it concerns the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, and you are a musician, and the other fellow there with you is a musician, and you witnessed the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, and what you got to do is you got to dress up and join an all-girl orchestra, because now they know that you've seen it, and they may come, and they're going to kill you, and so for 85% of the picture, you're going to run around in drag, kid. You want to do it? And for some insane reason, I said yes.
While the movie was safe, it was still, like many Wilder movies in this period, very successful. Made on a budget of $1.7 million, the movie brought in $9 million worldwide, making it a smash hit. Not only that, but Agatha Christie loved it. She called it the best film version of any of her work, and Wilder took that to heart. According to McBride, that meant more to Wilder than anything a film critic had ever said of his work. Though, later in life, she also admitted to loving Sidney Lumet's 1974 Murder on the Orient Express adaptation, but who can blame her? It was praised by critics. Witness for the Prosecution. It holds a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, so you know it's good. Yeah, I mean, it can't be bad. And it ranks 6th on the AFI list of best courtroom dramas.
Witness for the Prosecution was also nominated for 6 Academy Awards, including Best Director for Wilder, Best Supporting Actress for Lanchester, Best Actor for Lawton, and Best Picture. Wilder seemed nonplussed by the nominations, however, saying, quote, "To give an Academy Award to a man who directs a play is like giving the removalists who took Michelangelo's Pieta from the Vatican to the New York World's Fair a first award in sculpture." A little convoluted, but he gets there.
It's a little, that takes a while.
Not as pithy as his usual.
A little too sophisticated. Now, Marlene Dietrich did not feel the same as Wilder. She was so certain she'd receive a nomination for Best Actress that she even re-recorded her introduction to the one-woman show she was performing at the time nominations were announced. The updated version proudly proclaimed her as an Academy Award nominee, but sadly, the nomination never came, and she had to scrub her new intro. That's sad. I mean, she was nominated for a Golden Globe for Witness for the Prosecution, but she didn't win. So I guess not the same.
No.
Not the same. Switching gears, Keir, we've spoken about this in past episodes, and while I don't want to tread on the same ground, it is worth pointing it out. The recurring theme of masquerading in Wilder's movies, because it is present here.
Yes, absolutely. And listeners, if you missed our last episode, we actually ended with a top 10 masquerades, like our 5 favorite films that involve an element of masquerading. As you will know, if you listen to this show at all, it is a really prevalent theme, one of the most prevalent themes in Wilder's work. Here, it's probably not as important as in his other films. It's not as central, even as it was in Love in the Afternoon, which has a virginal Audrey Hepburn pretending to be a worldly lover, but it's definitely part of the narrative. I mean, you have Dietrich performing what is essentially a triple masquerade. First as an indifferent wife, then as a traitorous wife, then as a character who provides Sir Wilfrid key information that he thinks will help him free an innocent man. Spoiler alert for this very old movie, she dresses up in a costume, becoming totally unrecognizable, sporting a Cockney accent and a facial scar.
Yeah, I didn't know it was her. I did not know. Fooled me. So got me. Now, when in doubt in Wilder's universe, just pretend to be somebody else.
Yeah.
Which I'd say speaks volumes to who he was as a person. Always self-conscious about his immigrant roots and his accent, Wilder's life was, in so many ways, at least to him, a constant masquerade. And there's more to it than that. McBride made an interesting comment during his commentary track for Witness for the Prosecution. He called Wilder a disappointed romantic. He's a man who, deep down, believes in the world, believes in people, but is constantly disappointed. Many of his characters share this quality, particularly Sir Wilfrid, and going all the way back to Double Indemnity, our old friend Keys, played by Edward G. Robinson.
I love that. That's such a great observation.
Yeah, I actually think that I made that. I don't know if that's McBride or me. I'm taking credit, whatever. In Witness for the Prosecution, Lawton, bear in mind, he believes Vole is an innocent man, but as we now know, he shouldn't have. His trust is betrayed and he is wrecked by it. And you have Keyes, a man who, like Sir Wilfrid, has an almost supernatural ability to divine the truth from people. Wilfrid has his monocle, Keyes has his gut. And Keyes trusted Walter Neff. He sees him as a friend. But like Wilfrid, his trust is betrayed. The little idealism he has, despite his cynicism, was thwarted.
Yeah, Keyes has the little man in his gut, right? The little man
little
inside.
man in his gut.
My little man tells me.
Yes.
Yeah, and I guess we can follow this line even further, right? In Stalag 17, William Holden Sefton is a deeply cynical man whose cynicism is justified when his fellow soldiers turn on him. Even John Lund's Captain Pringle in A Foreign Affair is simply embracing his environment and wants to do right within his own system, but is undermined by the world around him. The only movie that doesn't have at least a trace of Wilder's romanticism is probably Ace in the Hole, which is pure cynicism and nothing but.
It's interesting to look at this because, again, it's not just a pattern. It's Wilder's autobiography, whether he likes it or not, displayed through his art.
He said he didn't make autobiographical movies. I make a picture, I forget about it, he told Cameron Crowe when asked which film of his was the most personal. But it's pretty clear that's not entirely true. Whether he intended to make personal films or not, that's a different story.
Okay, Keir, it's evident most people love Witness for the Prosecution. It was a box office hit, was nominated for a few Oscars, and it has certainly stood the test of time. But most people aren't us, and this is our show, so ours is the only opinion that matters.
Damn straight.
And then, in that spirit, Keir, I didn't love it. For the most part, the movie for me was surprisingly flat. Surprising because I love Agatha Christie. I obviously love Wilder. And as already stated, I have a deep affinity for most of the people in it. They're all Universal, monster alum. But the movie just didn't work for me. But I want to know your thoughts because we haven't discussed this. I want to know how you feel about this movie.
Well, I liked it. I think listeners who want us to disagree more are going to get a little more of what they want today. Yes, this is a very lightweight Wilder film, to be sure. But I thought it was wonderfully paced and very entertaining, maybe particularly coming on the heels of Love in the Afternoon, which was not wonderfully paced and moderately entertaining. Even though I consume a lot of crime fiction, I don't love mysteries because I'm such a master at solving puzzles. I've said this before, but I like all the stuff that's ancillary to the actual solving of the crime, mainly character. And I think a lot of mystery fans are like that, and I can't wait to hear more of what you have to say because I think, as I said, they keep asking us to disagree more and we're going to give them what they want. But I thought Charles Laughton was absolutely delightful. I don't agree with Wilder that he was the greatest actor of all time, but he's awfully good.
Yeah.
And he's terrifically fun to watch here. I enjoyed his running battle with his nurse, played by Elsa Lanchester. As we mentioned, I love the ongoing bits about his attempts to hide his cigars and brandy from her. He's a legendary legal mind who resents being treated like a naughty schoolboy and then completely acts like one, just unselfconsciously acting like a naughty schoolboy. And the visual gags with this stair lift totally cracked me up. I thought it was really funny visual gags. And I feel like Wilder managed to be faithful to the Christie play while smuggling in his comic sensibility, much in the same way Sir Wilfrid smuggles brandy in his cocoa thermos.
Right. I like that you're like, oh, I get it. You saw the play, Keir. I got it.
Did I mention I saw the play in London on the West End?
You did. And now in a second accent. So, yeah, it's funny. I think I like the Wilder stuff because I liked all the stuff that you liked. I loved Sir Wilfrid. I thought he was hilarious. I thought he was a blast. And I thought he was powerful when he needed to be powerful and super compelling. So, and that feels like all the stuff that Wilder added, maybe not everything, but the cigars, the chairlift, the nurse, like all that stuff.
Lining his pills up on his desk in court. That was a very funny thing. And a great little, felt like a kind of a Wilder touch. Maybe Wilder / Diamond didn't work on this one, but just like a great visual device to tell the viewer how much time has passed because he's got to take pills every so often. And then in a later scene, there are very few pills left.
Yeah. No, that was a really good flourish. And I didn't look, I liked it better than Love in the Afternoon. which is not saying a ton. But, I think the problem that I had with it was the Christie stuff, because they built up Sir Wilfrid to be like this. He has a supernatural power of like I said, divining the truth. And he, uses monocle to flash light into somebody's face, and that makes them reveal their lies, I guess. Or he's able to tell if they're lying or not, whatever it is. And the two people he uses it on completely fool him, So it's like you build him up to he's this guy who has this power. The power fails both times he attempts it. And also, like, he's kind of this, they don't say he's the best lawyer, but like one of the best there is. And he's not very good at his job.
Well, I love the monocle bit because it reminded me, of Larry David's recurring bit in Curb Your Enthusiasm, where he gets up to somebody's face and squints at them, and then they do the little stare down, like he's trying to figure out if they're lying or if he can get them to snap or whatever. That cracked me up. But to me, it was funny because it seemed so preposterous. I mean, I don't think you're wrong at all about his overblown legal abilities, but I thought it was an interesting portrait of hubris, because like watching it, I believed all along he was a legal genius, partly because everyone said he is. They keep telling us that. Partly because he acts like one. He inhabits the role of a legal genius. And partly because in the courtroom, in the moment, he is very good at battling prosecutors over legal minutia during the cross-examinations. And it's almost like, wow, the judge is just like, well, if Sir Wilfrid says it, like, yeah, he's right. But I do feel like they were like setting us up for his character's blind spot, like his being wrong. He has such faith in his abilities that, he believes it, we believe it. And then, I think you're a more keen-eyed viewer than most and kind of going, wait a minute. He's not actually succeeding that much.
Well, I was waiting for the opposite. I was waiting for the moment that he had a trick up his sleeve.
Right.
And he'd say, aha, but,
Right.
But that, the more I thought about that, though, the more I'm like, well, that doesn't work, because that would be an ex machina. But even though I think that it's kind of an ex machina at the end, nonetheless, because he doesn't really do any investigation. Nobody tries. If he has this legal team, like, wouldn't you try to find the real killer at some point? Wouldn't you be like, okay, if this guy didn't do it, if we can find who did, and we can find something, some evidence, something.
They posted flyers hoping that some local person would have witnessed the innocent man walking away from the scene of crime. So, but yeah, that was about the extent to which they did that.
Yeah, they didn't do a whole lot. Going deeper into what I was hung up on, the legal stuff, which I like. I love courtroom dramas. I really, really do. Courtroom movies in general, not just dramas. I struggle with the idea. It's like, man, the prosecution doesn't have shit. Like, you're really going to hang this guy over purely no eyewitnesses, no evidence, like just purely circumstantial, where it's like, he seems like the guy, so I guess we got to hang him. The same year this came out, it was the same year 12 Angry Men came out. And that's so much more sophisticated from the legal standpoint than this movie is. It's a different animal, than this. But like, it has some real, we're going to look at evidence and we're going to have some real investigation where they're like, yeah, this guy probably did it. And that was basically the extent of trying to prove or disprove, like he did it. And they're like, he said he did it. And that was it. It wasn't satisfying. It's a courtroom movie that had at least for me, I was not satisfied at all with the legal proceedings, I guess.
Do you think Wilder was a little too credulous of Christie's plotting, since he's a big fan of Sherlock Holmes, as we know. He's a fan of Christie. He's said, oh, she plotted, like an angel but couldn't write characters. Do you think he just and also, again, this is a successful play that was run for a long time at that time. And so do you think he just felt sort of like, well, audiences love it, like this works, why would I take the gears out of this clock and try to make a better clockwork?
Yeah. I guess if I saw the play, I would really dislike it because like it has none of the Wilder stuff in it. So no, I think it's the right call. And I do think there's some sort of like cynicism with time, because it is an older movie, and Agatha Christie was like, again, she's a very, I love her. I love her books. I still read her books, now. I can pick up a book anytime and read it. But she's a very traditional, like kind of, she's not really breaking any mold. She's just doing what she does and setting it up and nailing it down. And she does it here. I didn't see the twist coming. That's good. But but I also just didn't enjoy that much of the process going forward. I'm surprised by you, Keir. I know your feelings about mysteries. But I'm surprised to not find you more like, upset that you didn't have more to sink your teeth into from the mystery standpoint.
I'm a man of many surprises, Mike, is what I can say. Yeah, I just, I was carried along by the comedy and the repartee between Robarts and the others around him, and Lawton's delightful inhabiting of that role. I think it was a much more of a fun movie than mystery movie. I thought the mystery was okay. It was okay. I mean, it's solid Christie. It's not spectacular.
Yeah, no, I agree. Even by her standards, many books that I've read have far more satisfying mysteries. I mean, they all can't be, and then there were none or whatever, of course. But I don't know. I just felt like we got to the end and I was like, oh, wow, like he did it. And that's cool and interesting. But it felt like, again, just a little too ex machina of it. Like she comes and reveals the letter, and that was the plan all along. And then there's the knife laying around, it's, that's a weird place, a courtroom. So I feel like they had to kind of just wrap it up and get out.
It was the evidence. It was on the table.
I just had this knife. Yeah.
It was interesting how they handed all the evidence back and forth. I kind of liked that, but it made me think, like, is that how they did it in the Old Bailey back in the day? Because if they wanted to hand evidence, like, it would go through the hands of the defense lawyers to the prosecutors to the judge, instead of having a bailiff like hand deliver it. It was almost kind of like an invitation to tampering or something.
Yeah, well, like I said, they don't seem concerned about evidence. I don't know, fingerprints were a little before that, I believe, or I don't know, actually.
Fingerprints were in use at the time.
Yeah.
Because, isn't there's a question? No, they were discussed in this play because Robarts says, well, you only found the fingerprints of these three people in the house, but wouldn't if a burglar broken in, don't burglars in your experience wear gloves?
Yeah, right.
Wouldn't that explain why there weren't additional fingerprints? So that was a thing.
That was true. Okay, so there was a little bit fine. There was evidence. Dietrich's thoughts, gosh, she's so hot. That's my thoughts.
She's great in this. Like, honestly, awesome. Better than in A Foreign Affair. I wanted to ask you, we crapped on Tyrone Power a little bit earlier in the episode, but we haven't really discussed his performance at length.
It was really bad, I thought, in this. Like, that's another problem I had with the movie. Like, his military record, he served in the British Army. I'm like, what? Why couldn't you at least made him like he's American who just served in the military and stayed abroad? Like, he's legitimately supposed to be British? And I'm like, what? Like, it's a nitpicky thing, but it's like, why didn't anybody care enough?
I could have done his lines in one of my magnificent English accents.
You could have done better than Tyrone Power. Hello, Sir Wilfred.
Blimey, Governor.
I didn't do it. That was a little bit of South. That was Alabama by way of Wembley. So
it's kind of a reverse Daniel Craig.
It's a reverse, yeah. He's very dramatic, and then you get his why he's so dramatic in conflict. But that's like 95% of the movie is him overacting and trying to, sweat and be like, I didn't do it. You can't listen to her, and it's like, okay, by the end you get it. But I don't know. I mean, he's supposed to be, Leonard Vole, he's supposed to be a hustler. He's supposed to be a con man and a murderer. And I don't know. I think he would have just been a little bit more cunning and especially a lot more charming. I think that's what was missing. Like, he was so utterly charmless. I don't understand the fundamental. You put those together and you get fundamental. I don't get his relationship with the woman. Forgive me, I'm forgetting her name, who was married, because he's so charmless. I don't understand. Like, he sees her, and there's the bit with the hat. Again, Wilder with more hats. But I'm just like, he's kind of creepy to me, and so milquetoast that I don't get it. Like, I don't get anything with him. I don't get that he's British. I don't get why this woman even wants to spend time with him. I especially don't get why Marlene Dietrich, falls for him in real life and in the movie.
Right, you believe it more in her second phase when she's repudiating him and saying she never loved him. Like, you believe that.
I was like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, did you like Tyrone Power in this?
I didn't hate him nearly as much as you did. I'm not and never have been a Tyrone Power fan. I thought he was adequate, but I do agree that it was a big missed opportunity. Like, I would have rather had somebody better in there. I thought it was okay for a movie of this level I thought he basically worked, but he could have been a lot more charming. And to your point, as a guy who seduces a woman, like, it is a funny scene where she's trying on a hat.
I thought you were going to say, as a guy who seduces women. It's like, Keir.
It's me, Keir Graff, is a guy who frequently seduces women in hat shops. When I see a woman trying on a hat and I convince her to buy the right hat, it's boom, we're off and running. That's how it works in Chicago, the mean streets. I think that scene where he is flirting with her through the window with the hat thing was cute. But that's because it was well written, not because he was such a charmer. And I agree, like, you're kind of not really sure, he's suddenly ingratiating himself into her life and he's in her home and he's demonstrating a stupid egg beater. And she's like, oh, it's just wonderful. And you're not quite clear. Is he like a Lothario? Is he a sexual predator? Is he just a con man hustler guy? Is he a striver? He doesn't really, he's just kind of a dude. And I think that could have been, I felt like I knew what he was supposed to represent, but I don't think he really hit the levels he should have with that role. And I agree, he tends to overact a lot of it. I thought he was more effective, to be honest, as the aw shucks, like, I'm just a regular guy and I'm innocent, than, histrionic guy who's, pleading for his life in the dock. That was a little bit much. And then, a better actor, again, could have nailed the heel turn at the end even more. Although, again, I think he was fine.
He was okay there. Like, and this is maybe a little bit of the writing where he was, the aw shucks. I really didn't like that. He's like, well, gee, do you think they'll arrest me? It's like,
yeah.
Yes. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, he just, that's more of the script though. And also the egg beater is stupid. Or the egg separator. But you know what? We have to go, Keir, to the Filmographers archive, because I feel, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe this jogs your memory now that we're talking, I feel that there was a movie, and it might have been The Major and the Minor, where Billy Wilder said he was looking for male leads, and he's like almost, he was like, dear God, we almost had to fall to Tyrone Power. Do you remember that?
Oh, that sounds familiar.
Doesn't it? Where he's like, oh my God, we couldn't find anybody else.
Okay, we'll have to look for that, and we'll drop in the audio momentarily if we find it. And if not, there's just going to be a little bit of like dead air.
That's twist after twist after twist,
Yeah.
Which I am very grateful to Agatha Christie to have written it like this. It's very good plotting,
Yeah.
There are very few people, for every 500 great dialogue writers, there are 5 great constructionists. That's the toughest job in the world.
And it's time for the Filmographers 5. This one's kind of a gimme topic. Sometimes we have to work pretty hard to find something that's related to the topic, but not too obvious, or that we haven't done already before. This one, we're just going straight ahead with top 5 courtroom movies. Nice and easy. And once again, we never include Wilder films on this list. Not that we would include probably Witness for the Prosecution, but just because we're trying to bring in some other films into our podcast and celebrate those. So with that said, Mike, kick us off. What is your 5th favorite courtroom movie?
Our 5th favorite courtroom movie is The Rainmaker, the 1997 Francis Ford Coppola adaptation of John Grisham's best-selling novel. And yes, I said Francis Ford Coppola, who was hot off of making Jack with Robin Williams. The Rainmaker, though, is a truly excellent film anchored by great performances from a young and early career Matt Damon, Danny DeVito, and Claire Danes. And Mickey Rourke also is in that. It has depth, a real thematic backbone, and is, in my opinion, the best Grisham adaptation to date.
I'm going to have to rewatch that and see if I agree. Our 4th favorite courtroom movie is A Few Good Men, Rob Reiner's excellent 1992 film that's just stacked with talent. Tom Cruise, Jack Nicholson, Demi Moore, Kiefer Sutherland, Kevin Pollak, even Kevin Bacon shows up just to be part of the fun. Aaron Sorkin's script, based on his play, is rich, vibrant, and intelligent, and Reiner handles the courtroom drama and the big stars with a deft hand. This is an evergreen movie that only gets better with age.
Our 3rd favorite courtroom drama is 12 Angry Men. This was Sidney Lumet's feature directorial debut, if you can believe it, and it's a classic in every sense of the word. Henry Fonda has rarely been better. No one portrays a moral compass better than he does, and this role played to his strengths. The supporting cast is superb. Lumet shoots this chamber piece beautifully, and while it does get a little pat with its reliance on caricature at times, it always knows when to dig just deep enough to swerve out of cliche. An unforgettable film and a genuine masterpiece.
Our second favorite courtroom movie is The Verdict, another superb Sidney Lumet movie, this one from 1982 and starring Paul Newman in one of his finest performances. He plays an alcoholic ambulance chaser who experiences a crisis of conscience when he takes on a medical negligence case. Like many Lumet movies, The Verdict is a morality tale. It's about the price of the human soul, redemption, and dignity. It's beautifully shot, wonderfully acted. Jack Warden and James Mason shine in supporting roles, and David Mamet's script is an all-timer. And if you want to go really deep on The Verdict, something we don't have time to do here, check out my guest appearance on the Full Cast and Crew podcast.
I'm going to write to the Board of Bar Overseers about you today, fella. You're on your way out. They should have kicked you out in that Lillibridge case. Now, this is it today.
I'm an attorney on trial before the bar representing my client. My client. You open your mouth, you're losing my case for me.
Now, listen to me, fella.
No, you listen to me. All I want on this trial was a fair shake. Okay? Push me into court 5 days early. I lose my star witness, and I can't get a continuance, and I don't care. I'm going up there, I'm going to try it, I'm going to let the jury decide. You know, they told me about you. Said you're a hard ass, you're a defendant's judge. No, I don't care. I said to hell with it, to hell with it.
Look, Galvin, many years ago...
Come on. Hey, don't give me that shit about you being a lawyer, too. I know about you. You couldn't hack it as a lawyer. You were a bag man for the boys downtown, and you still are. I know about you.
Are you done?
You're damn right I'm done. I'm going to ask for a mistrial. I'm going to request that you disqualify yourself from sitting on this case. I'm going to take a transcript of the trial to the Judicial Conduct Board and ask that they impeach your ass.
You aren't going to get a mistrial, boy. We're going back there this afternoon, and we're going to try this case to the end. Now, you get out of here before I call the bailiff and have you thrown in jail.
And our favorite courtroom movie is...
My Cousin Vinny.
Okay, you may laugh at this pick and we can say, look, it's not an Oscar winner, but guess what? It's actually the only movie on this list to win an Oscar. So take that, Sidney Lumet. My Cousin Vinny took home a Best Supporting Actress win for Marissa Tomei, who absolutely deserved it. And Academy accolades aside, it's just a perfect movie, somehow managing to balance humor, lovable and memorable characters with actual real courtroom suspense. I love this movie. It's one of my favorites. Bless you, director Jonathan Lynn, for somehow pulling this off. And that's a wrap for this episode of the Filmographers podcast. Again, please remember to leave us a rating or review. Just click those 5 stars and be rewarded with our sincerest gratitude.
Thank you, as always, to our fantastic producer, Kevin Lau, who makes our podcast sound and look like $1 million. Our theme music was composed and played by Gompson. Our graphic design is by Cosmo Graff.
Join us next time when we're going to do something. The schedule's a little bit flux, but we'll be back soon. So join us, all right?